Welcome to the first event of Ellis Cose's Renewing American Democracy, which in concert with the Roosevelt School at Long Island University is a national program designed to address the growing issues we're all facing now with elections, electorals, the political situation in this country. So without much ado, I'd like to introduce to you my friend, a visiting scholar here at LIU and chairman of this organization, Ellis Cose.
We are in a unforeseen and rather unique moment in American history. We're at this moment where many Americans are not quite clear on where this democracy is going or whether it's going anywhere good. You just did a poll that was released here by the Hornstein Center, I believe today or yesterday, which found 69% of respondents saying that they don't think that the Democratic and Republican parties represent Americans. They don't think it represents what they think political representatives need to be doing. However you cut it, we're in this moment where a lot of people are unhappy with our democracy. One of the reasons that we launched this initiative was I was curious about not only where we go from this moment, but that what happens to young people in this moment.
At this hour, our democracy is under unprecedented assault, unlike anything we've seen in modern times. An assault on the citadel of liberty, the Capitol itself.
I currently work in the United Nations, specifically with the United Nations Committee for Children, UNICEF. And in that role, I represent children here in the United States on the global stage. And so being in that role, I have a unique experience in really hearing what young people think around the changes that they hope to see here in the United States.
I'm from India. My family's from India, but I actually was born and raised in Arizona. So what I grew up with, the people around me, what their political beliefs are rather than what my family was. It was very interesting to grow up with that kind of situation.
I am currently the SGA president here at LIU Brooklyn. I was naturalized as a citizen in 2007. So I definitely take account as to what the nature of voting is. And I definitely take pride in voting every time there is an opportunity for me to do so. We had an opportunity in 2016 where there was a strike and a lockout where teachers and students kind of came together and were able to kind of get teachers back into the classroom. I've seen in the Black Lives Matter movement over the last couple of years here in Brooklyn and in New York City for organizations of grassroots really come together and be able to kind of put forth what the agenda is.
In my own personal opinion, I feel like the entire American democratic system, it's not essentially broken, but I would say it is more beneficial to people who come from white families, who have job security, who live in a stable home, and it's not doing any favors for those who are immigrants, who are incarcerated, for refugees.
The way I see American democracy was almost like a vase that was pressured once again, and at some point it fractured. And so we're at a point that even if we try putting it back together, it'll never be how it was where democracy really started. Looking at it right now, looking at this fractured democracy where we are, really has to be rethought from the beginning, because democracy is really what we think it should be or what it has been in the past. As our democracy or as our view of democracy might be progressing for some people, to a whole different group in our country, they see our democracy going backwards. That while we see something as progressive, they see it as the far left. They see it as a completely different concept than what we see it as. And so that polarization that continuously just divides the country more and more is really where we are right now.
We have, at the very least, two different Americas. one who believes that the guy who is now called president is not really president, another that believes that he is, one America that believes that COVID inoculations cause you to become a human magnet or plant signals inside of you that do strange things, another one that doesn't believe that.
One of the ways in which you tackle that specifically is education.
Okay.
Right? So I feel that it starts at the grassroots, in which, high school, there should be programs in which you're taught how to vote, right? A lot of Americans, I feel like, don't know the essence of voting, and I feel like that because I've volunteered where in New York City, people come to me all the time at the polls, and they don't know the basic structure of how to say yes or no to a particular party, and how to vote for the agenda that's on the particular ballot. So I feel like that's number one. And two, I also feel that with that education, the structure in which every state teaches fundamental basic American history is very different. Lately, I've seen that in Texas, there's been legislation that doesn't allow you to teach about MLK and African American history, as opposed to a lot of other states in the North where you're able to do so. And these things are fundamentally, I think, a challenge into the polarization that's happening in America, as opposed to a place like Germany that, dealt with, such a dark time in their history, and they put that in their curriculum so that they never repeat some of the mistakes that they've done in their history.
Explain Arizona to me, and also explain how you get beyond this kind of polarization.
We're now almost a year past this election, and this is still an issue that we're seeing today, something that people are just somehow not accepting the fact that the election was not rigged.
I think a big part of it really is, from a very young age, American voters are taught that there are two parties. You're a Democrat or you're a Republican. And having to compromise some of your values so you could really fit into one of those sides. And us really being one of the only countries in the world that only has a two-party system, where voters, once again, feel forced to compromise some of their values just so they could really feel accepted into one of those parties. And that really is where the divide starts. Dissolving that two-party system, allowing for different parties to really grow and nourish different ideas and different values. We're able to have some kind of unity where different groups are able to come to the table.
I think it all comes down to education. At the end of the day, I feel like, in my opinion, I think there should be a federally mandated education system that all young kids should have, and should not be dictated by the states. I feel like especially younger teens are being very influenced by what they see on social media. They're believing what they see. And I know, we've seen how people in power can influence anybody with the power of social media.
How we get young voters to come out is events like this specifically. That's the reason why I signed up for this event. Next semester, we're going to have LIU votes in this very room, and we're going to encourage people to vote. So it starts, even though it may not seem like it makes a difference, these events right here are exactly how you get American young voters to come out to the polls.